There is substantial evidence to show that the president was frustrated and angered by his sincere belief that the investigation was undermining his presidency, propelled by his political opponents, and fueled by illegal leaks. Nonetheless, the White House fully cooperated with the special counsel's investigation, providing unfettered access to campaign and White House documents, directing senior aides to testify freely, and asserting no privilege claims.
So that's a little of the delivery of Bill Barr, and he said that at 9:30. By the time the whole report drops at 11, people start criticizing Barr for, they say, making inaccurate summations of what the report said. Joining me now is John Dowd. It's been all over this from day one. The president called him right away when he realized he needed a private attorney to handle this special counsel investigation. John Dowd, welcome back to the Brian Kilmeade Show. What is your take, John, of the document that you got?
Good morning, Brian. The document I got is a disgrace to the Department of Justice. If that had been turned into me when I was the chief of a strike force, the lawyers would have been fired. It never would have gone anywhere. It wouldn't have gone to the Attorney General. Mueller and his Democrat friends put the Attorney General in an awful position. But I'll tell you, Bill Barr rose to the occasion and handled it brilliantly yesterday. And that quote you just played is one of the great moments of the Department of Justice. He captured exactly what the president felt and why. And if you don't mind, Brian, I'd like to add to this anger issue. If you just reflect back, beginning in January, before he was inaugurated, his FBI director was playing games with him. And then his deputy attorney general appointed a special counsel without any heads up or without any authority, without any citation of a crime. Then his attorney general recused himself without giving the president a courtesy. In other words, you had a president of the United States ambushed and bushwhacked by the three top officials in the Department of Justice. And that is a national disgrace that needs to be investigated and prosecuted, and I think it will be. But that's why the president was always angry. You know, the media plays these games. He's always upset. He is rightfully upset, and I don't disagree with it at all. And his expression of his anger was entirely appropriate. As Rudy pointed out the other day, he has every right to defend himself. He has every right to express himself, and he did. And, I talked to Mueller about it when the president was calling it a hoax. It was a hoax. There was nothing there. And, you'd say to yourself, the president didn't complain about it. You'd say, what's wrong with him? But he did, and he had every right to do it. And God bless Bill Barr. He captured it perfectly yesterday in that one paragraph. I'm going to frame it. I got to tell you, it's so important for people to understand. I think people do understand. I think they're getting understand. And this report is pitiful. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's biased. It's political. I think the New York Times did a draft of it. So that's where I'm at, Brian.
I hear you. And listen to what the media was all over Bill Barr. Let's go cut number 6.
Am I nuts, or is this really what I'm seeing?
I find Barr's behavior to be absolutely unconscionable. It's inappropriate. He's defending the president.
He repeated no collusion. I mean, he parroted the president's words.
Then we see a redaction. Now, I don't know how to have X-ray vision. I can't see through black ink.
There is a significant amount of redacted material in here.
Obviously, Attorney General Barr, as political operatives do, put a spin on this that was favorable to the president.
And that was the take all day. I mean, I'm like you. I know what I think. I leave it to experts like you to help me with legal stuff. But I like to see what other points of view are. They are destroying Bill Barr. They're beating him up big time because he went out there at 9:30.
And Bill Barr. They'll never destroy him. This is the same crowd that took payoffs to peddle the GPS stuff. I mean, let's talk about corruption in the press. Let's talk about corruption in the media. Let's talk about press people that are putting this nonsense out. attacking Bill Barr. They're attacking Bill Barr because guess what's coming? The truth is coming. And as the great Justice talked about, it's the greatest disinfectant. We're going to put some sunshine on not only, you heard the Attorney General talk about those illegal leaks. Let me tell you, the media went crazy. Why? Because they're on the other end of the illegal leaks. They violated the law. They're the ones that took baseball tickets from the FBI in order to print the narrative that the FBI was putting out to take this president down. We're a long way from turning this upside down, but they know that Bill Barr's got the guts to do it, and he is going to do it. There's no question in my mind he's going to do it.
So
we're going to find out what the truth is. That's why these vicious attacks. It's the same identity politics the Democrats employ all the time. Destroy the messenger that's bringing the truth. And that's what's going on here. But Bill Barr, they're not going to destroy him. Bill Barr is fine. American people know when they've got a solid attorney general. I've heard more compliments of him in the last 2 weeks than any attorney general since Mike Mukasey and Griffin Bell. So those men were great lawyers and great protectors of the department.
So talking to John Dowd, original attorney for the president and friend. So, John, a couple of things. The president's indicating that Don McGahn, evidently, according to this, if I'm to read this, and you did, as I did most of it, Don McGahn was told to fire Mueller. He's conflicted. And Don McGahn said, told Brian Spears, I'm quitting. I'm going to clean up my office. The president's putting some doubt that even happened. What do you hear? Did you hear anything about this?
No, I never got in that mix, and no one ever discussed it with me. I can tell you, Brian, every time I went to see Bob Mueller and Jim Quarles, I always briefed the president beforehand. And he always asked me, particularly when I saw Mueller, which was about once a month, to convey to Mueller that he respected what he was doing, he honored what he was doing, and he had his full cooperation. Okay?
You all go ahead.
Start to think about that. Well, why would you want to fire a guy and do this all over again when you've just done it? So it just, as the Attorney General said, that's the opposite of a corrupt intent or influence, etc. But I'll tell you, Mueller understood it because I talked to him about the president teeing off publicly and politically. I mean, he had to deal with it politically, and that's what he did by calling it a hoax. And it was a hoax. There was nothing there. He knew there was nothing there. That's why he gave us full authority to give them everything. Can you imagine anybody in this town? Ask Jerry Nadler if he'll give up his notes with his counsel. He wouldn't do it.
And the counsel did.
Pelosi with their notes. He's the only guy in the history of the presidency that's given them all up. Why? Because he wasn't afraid of it. And he was transparent. And they got it all. And, that makes them sore. They cannot stand it because they don't act that way. They lie and cheat and steal all the time. The media and the Democrats, they've been called out. This is a great moment. You read Kim Strassel today. We now know the truth about the special counsel and the people in his office. And by the way, I got to tell you something. When I first took over representing the president, he expressed himself about it. He said it publicly. He didn't trust any of these people. He didn't trust Mueller because Mueller had a conflict. And I said, let's rise above it. Let's get the job done. We do. And I think he told Rudy the same thing. But, his instincts are absolutely right.
You also
I
right.
told him that.
Yeah,
he was absolutely right that these guys were crooked and they were after him. And this report is a disgrace. I mean, they even took swipes at Rudy and Jay and myself. What a cheap shot. I mean, they didn't call me. And the stuff on Flynn is absolutely false.
What do you mean?
What
do you mean? His stuff's on?
Flynn didn't commit a crime. We helped Clinton's lawyers because they couldn't find their way around. They couldn't get documents. We got everything for them, and we were told. I was told they were going in to convince the special counsel that there was no case there.
Well, they said that Flynn. They said the president told Flynn to go get 30. Hey, John, they in the report it says Flynn was told by the president to go get the 30,000 missing Hillary emails.
That's absolute nonsense.
All right, I got to ask you this: in a column you quoted in today, you said that Mueller was influenced too much by Comey and Andy McCabe. In what way?
Well, he relied on. If you read his report, he relied on him. Brian, Mark Kasowitz, and Mike Bowie, and I, and early in June of 2017, wrote a letter to Mueller asking him to inquire into the perjury by Comey and his sort of bizarre, irregular conduct. And we outlined it in a letter. And about a month later, I was with Bob. I think it was maybe July or early August. I said, are you looking at Comey? And he said, no, I'm not. I said, why not? He said, well, the IG is. Well, I said, well, this guy's a witness, and he's committed perjury before the Congress. We want you to investigate it. He does just the opposite. If you read the report, he accepts everything that Comey and McCabe said. We all know that they're liars. We all know that they corrupted the Department.
They disagree with each other. They disagree with each other.
Yeah, exactly. And Bob Mueller, which is another instinct. The president objected to Mueller. By the way, what's not in the report is how did Mueller get appointed? And Rosenstein's got to answer for that someday, because he didn't tell anyone. He didn't give anybody a heads up. And what's his name? Jody Hunt, chief of staff to Sessions, went back and said, "What are you doing?" And Rosenstein said, "Are they going to fire me?" And Hunt said, "What you did was unprofessional and despicable," and it was. Imagine not telling the president that you're going to appoint a special counsel. I mean, it's just incredible, the behavior here. But more importantly is, how did that happen? Did you talk to Comey about it? Did Comey arrange for special counsel? By the way, the FBI was doing an investigation. They didn't require special counsel before that time. I mean, the mischief here, the utter internal corruption in the Department of Justice is beyond anything I've ever seen. And Brian, believe me, in 7-8 years in the department, I dealt with the deputy's office and the attorney general's office on several occasions on major cases. I know how it works up there. And I got to tell you, it doesn't work this way. And Mueller did have conflicts, and he didn't recognize. He didn't deal with them.
So, do you think there risk?
This thing, we got a long way to go here to find out how the hell this thing started, and it's going to stink like hell.
What is it going to look like
lawyers,
when Mueller goes to Capitol Hill, which he's going to be asked to go? Number one, do you think he will go? And number two, how do you think that will go?
Well, I'll tell you what. He can't go without the permission of the Attorney General, and if I were the Attorney General, I wouldn't let him go.
I didn't know he can't go without
his own mind. But if I were him, I wouldn't testify.
He said yesterday he'd go in his personal capacity.
Huh?
He said yesterday he'd go in his personal capacity. Barr would approve it. Yeah, it looks like Barr would approve it. Do you think that that's something that would interest both sides?
Well, I don't know. To me, it's going to be the same hash that we have right now. So there's going to be no surprises. But if I were Bob Mueller, I'd get myself a good lawyer before I go up there. I mean, he's in the same league with he's now in the same league with Comey, with Rosenstein, with McCabe, and the rest of that crowd. Or there's a whole crowd of them that need a real hard look, and that includes Bob Mueller. Because now we see it. I mean, this is just another attempt to take this president down, and they failed.
Barr was asked about it. John Dowd, Barr was asked about it. Real quick, I want you to hear it.
Democrats in Congress have asked for Robert Mueller himself to testify. Robert Mueller remains a Justice Department employee as of this moment. Will you permit him to testify publicly to Congress?
I have no objection to Bob Mueller personally testifying.
There's a lot of public interest in the absence of the special counsel and members of his team. Was he invited to join you up on the podium? Why is he not here? This is his report, obviously, that you're talking about today.
No, it's not. It's a report he did for me as the Attorney General. He is required under the regulation to provide me with a confidential report. I'm here to discuss my response to that report and my decision.
So that's where we're at right now. So I guess we'll be watching that and we'll rehash it, but it's hard to imagine in 400-plus pages he has something else to add that he was afraid to put in. John Dowd, final thought?
The final thought is I think that end of things is over, and it doesn't matter what Bob Mueller has to say on the Hill. But I think we look forward to getting to the bottom of this whole piece of corruption that's done such great damage to the country.
John Dowd, thanks so much. We always appreciate your candidness, and we look forward to talking to you again.
I'll probably see you Monday, Brian.
Oh, really? Great. Sounds good.
On the show.
All right, great. Thanks, John Dowd. I appreciate it. This is the Brian Kilmeade Show.